A lawyer just dropped a warning that could change what your AR-15 means in the eyes of the law. And if you miss this update, you could keep doing something you thought was normal and find out too late that your state sees it very differently. Quick question before we continue, are you subscribed yet? Because what I'm about to reveal could keep you from making a mistake that turns a rifle you bought legally into the center of a criminal case. Hit that button now. Here's what just happened. On June 30, 2026, the Supreme Court agreed to hear two major cases over assault weapon bans, one tied to Connecticut and one tied to the Chicago area in Illinois. That does not mean AR-15 has become illegal overnight, but it does mean the legal fight over AR-15 ownership just moved back to the center of the country. And when that happens, everything gets shaky again. Dealers change policy, states get bold, gun owners panic, bad advice spreads online, and regular people like you are left wondering what is actually legal right now. Let me explain why this matters. Most people think the law only changes after the Supreme Court gives a final answer. That is not how it works. The legal pressure starts the second the court takes the case. Lawmakers in anti-gun states see an opening. Gun control groups start pushing harder. Dealers begin asking their lawyers what they should stop shipping, and the average AR-15 owner hears 10 different opinions and has no clue which one is safe to trust. That is the real problem. The confusion hits first. The final ruling comes later. Here's what just happened in simple English. The court is now being asked to decide whether bans on AR-15 style rifles and similar semi-automatic guns can stand under the Second Amendment. In plain terms, can states ban one of the most common rifles in America? Are those guns protected because millions of law-abiding people own them for lawful reasons like home defense, sport shooting, and training? That is the giant question hanging over your rifle right now. And here's the part nobody's talking about. Even before the court rules, the fight changes how your AR-15 is treated in the real world, not just in court, in gun stores, in shipping policies, in state legislatures, in traffic stops, in probate courts after a family death, in moving trucks when people cross state lines. That is why I said everything just changed again. Maybe not with one giant hammer dropped today, but with a legal shockwave that is already moving. First thing you need to understand is this. Your AR-15 is not judged only by its name. In many states, the law also looks at features: a detachable magazine, a pistol grip, a threaded barrel, a flash suppressor, a folding or telescoping stock. Sometimes one feature matters, sometimes a combination matters, sometimes the model. Name alone is enough. Here's what most people get wrong. They think mine is not on the banned list by name, so I'm fine. Not always. The truth is often uglier than that. Second, you need to understand that current bans already exist in about 10 states plus Washington, D.C., depending on how the laws are counted. So when people throw around scary numbers like 19 states, what they are really warning about is spread. They are talking about how fast this model can copy itself if the legal climate shifts. That is why a lawyer's warning sounds dramatic right now, because this is not just about where AR-15s are restricted today. It is about where lawmakers think they can push next. Third, let me break this down for you in a way that hits home. Imagine you bought your AR-15 legally in a state with normal gun laws. You use 10-round magazines in one state, 30-round magazines in another, and you never think twice about your muzzle device because it has always been legal where you live. Then your job transfers. You pack the same rifle, same magazines, same case, same parts. You cross one state line. Suddenly the law no longer sees that rifle the way you do. Most people think the rifle changed. It didn't. The map changed. If you're finding this helpful, imagine what you'll learn in my next video about the 5 words that can protect you when police start asking questions about your gun. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Now, this is where it gets interesting. There are 4 ways this Supreme Court fallout can hit AR-15 owners before any final ruling ever comes down. First is the Copycat Law Problem. When a huge gun case reaches the Supreme Court, lawmakers in other states do not sit quietly and wait. They start drafting. They hold hearings. They use the headlines to push fear. And they often write their bills broad enough to catch more than just one rifle. That means your state may not ban AR-15s today, but the people in power may already be planning the language that tries to do it tomorrow. Second is the dealer and shipping problem. A lot of gun owners act like the law only matters if a police officer knocks on the door. That is not true. If online dealers stop shipping certain rifles, uppers, magazines, or muzzle devices into your state because the legal risk got too high, your rights may not be officially dead, but your options shrink fast. Most people notice legal change only when handcuffs show up. Smart people notice it when stores stop doing business. Third is the transfer problem. Here's what most people get wrong. They think ownership is the whole story. It isn't. In some states, even if a grandfathered rifle can still be possessed, the transfer rules are much tighter. That means you may be able to keep it but not sell it the same way, or not pass it down as easily, or not move it into the state later, or not register it the way you thought. That becomes a huge issue when a parent dies, when family moves, or when someone tries to give a rifle to a son or daughter who grew up shooting it. Here's a hypothetical example to explain this. Let's say your father bought an AR-15 lawfully years ago. He passes away, you assume you can simply take the rifle because it is family property. But the state may say the transfer itself triggers a separate legal problem. So now your issue is not how the gun was bought, it is how the gun changed hands. That is how normal families end up in legal danger without ever trying to break the law. Fourth is the feature trap. This is the part that shocked me. A lot of owners spend a ton of time thinking about caliber, optics, barrel length, and brand, but almost no time thinking about how the law reads those parts. One stock change, one barrel change, one muzzle device, one magazine choice, one vertical grip, and the exact same rifle can fall into a different legal category in a different state. The gun owner says, "It's still my AR." The law says, "Not anymore." Now, quick legal note, this is educational information, not legal advice. Always consult an attorney for your specific situation. And that disclaimer matters more than ever right now because there is no single national answer. One state may ban sales but not possession. Another may ban both. Another may allow grandfathered rifles but require registration. Another may focus hard on magazines. Another may target named models plus feature tests. So when someone online says, "AR-15s are legal" or "AR-15s are banned," that statement is often too simple to protect you. Have you ever wondered why so many gun owners get blindsided by law changes? It is because they assume they will hear about it in time. They assume if something huge changes, everybody will know. But the truth is, by the time many people hear the news, they have already traveled with the rifle, sold a part, moved to a new state, or stored it the wrong way under the new rules. That is how legal traps work. They do not always come with sirens. Sometimes they come with silence. Here's the part nobody's talking about. AR-15 owners are now living in a legal gray zone of fear, rumor, and reaction. Anti-gun lawmakers want you confused. Some influencers want you panicked. Some people online want clicks more than they want to be accurate. So your job is not to believe the loudest voice. Your job is to slow down and verify every detail that affects your rifle. Hey, 73% of people watching right now aren't subscribed. Don't be part of that group. Join the gun owners who get these updates first and stay ahead of the legal curve. Click subscribe. Let me explain what you should actually do if you own an AR-15 right now. First, get specific. Do not say, "I own an AR." Write down the exact manufacturer, model, barrel setup, stock type, muzzle device, and the magazines you keep with it. If the law in your state uses a feature test, vague knowledge is useless. You need facts. Second, read your own state law, not just a meme or a chart somebody reposted. You need to know whether your state cares about named models, features, magazines, registration, transport, transfer, or all of the above. Most people think they know their law because they saw a map once. That is not enough when your freedom is on the line. Third, think about travel. Imagine you are at a traffic stop and the officer asks what is in the case in your trunk. You answer honestly because you think that is the end of it. But if the rifle, the magazines, or even the way it is configured creates a problem in that state, that one answer can turn a normal stop into a major headache. If you do not know this, here's what could happen. Your trip to the range becomes a criminal investigation. Fourth, think about inheritance and family transfers. If your rifle is supposed to go to your spouse, your kid, or another family member one day, do not wait until a death or an emergency to learn the law. Plan early. A lot of good families get hit because they assume family transfer is always simple. Sometimes it is not. Fifth, think about parts. This is where it gets even more serious. Some owners assume they can beat a ban by buying a stripped lower, a separate upper, or a pile of parts. But here's the crazy part. In some legal fights, the state does not care how clever you feel. It cares about what the finished rifle is, what parts you possess, and what intent can be shown. So if you are making decisions based on rumor instead of legal advice, you are gambling. When I found this out, I could not believe how many owners still treated this like a problem for other people in blue states. That mindset is dangerous because legal pressure spreads. And once your state starts copying another state's language, the clock starts moving faster than most people expect. But wait, there's something even more important. Even if the Supreme Court eventually gives AR-15 owners a major win, that does not mean the confusion ends overnight. States may resist. Lower courts may fight over wording. Agencies may drag their feet. Dealers may stay cautious. So if you are waiting for one magic court ruling to make everything clear again, you may be waiting while the risk stays high around you. That is why the smart move right now is not panic buying and not panic posting. It is building a personal legal checklist. Know your rifle. Know your magazines. Know your state law. Know the law where you travel. Know the transfer rules. Know whether local rules add more restrictions. And if your setup is close to the line, talk to a real attorney before you make a move that is hard to undo. This information could literally change after the next round of Supreme Court briefing and arguments. Subscribe now because the next video explains exactly what you need to do before that deadline pressure hits. So here's the key takeaway. Your AR-15 did not suddenly become illegal everywhere today, but the legal fight around it just got more serious, more public, and more dangerous for people who assume they have time to figure it out later. If you own an AR-15, this is your warning to slow down, check your exact setup, and stop relying on guesswork. The people who get hurt first are usually not the people trying to do wrong. They are the people who thought nothing had changed until the law was already moving under their feet. So protect your rights by staying informed before you act. Subscribe now, share this with one AR-15 owner who still thinks all of this is just online drama, and keep paying attention because this fight is far from over. And one last simple reminder. Laws change fast, state rules are different, and your specific facts matter. So, always check current law and talk to a real attorney before you buy, move, sell, or transfer your rifle.